Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Edu Talks. I'm sure that each one of you has been quarantined, has been logged in your respective homes. The purpose of this interaction is to really go deep and to understand how the COVID situation is going to have a profound impact on the education and training industry across the country. And today we have two startup entrepreneurs with us. We have Divya Jain. Hello, Divya. Mm, Welcome.
Thank you so much. Pleasure being here, Shantanu.
And welcome Sumesh Nair from Board Infinity.
Thank you, Shantanu. Nice to meet you and nice to participate in that.
So both Divya and Sumesh are working on hopefully two sides of the labor supply chain problem in India. They're working in the skilling and training industry, but I think both Divya and Sumesh, as I was reading from their profiles, come from two very different perspectives about this industry. So I'm going to first start with Divya, because Divya, you joined the family business called Safe Express, and then I believe that you saw that skilling and training was a huge challenge in a logistics industry. And what is really interesting is that your company is called Safe Educate, and nowadays the narrative is all about safety. So did you actually think of this name, and did you realize that this is going to become so important in a coronavirus kind of situation? So Divya, tell us a little bit about what your company Safe Educate is doing.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shantanu. It's a pleasure being here. It's a pleasure to talk about what we're doing. The Safe Express is a fantastic name. It's also something that comes with a lot of liability. I remember once we had one of our trucks which was overturned, and that made it to the front page, which was safe question mark. Uh, um, and I think, but it's very important for us. I think the name Safe Express comes from the idea of being a custodian. When I started off Safe Educate, what I realized was I was writing a book on trucking at that point in 2012. And I realized that we didn't have manpower on the field. We didn't have truck drivers. We didn't have warehouse operators. And this was a little bit before NSDC and the whole skilling environment came into play. And that's why we actually created Safe Educate, which was the idea, can we skill people for logistics and transportation, and across the board, at the bottom of the pyramid, all the way to the top, and make them efficient and effective. At one end, you talk about employment, unemployment, and you talk about millions of rural youth, urban youth who don't have opportunities. And you have industries which don't have people. So I think Safe Educate was an idea that wanted to bring these things together. And, our tagline was skilling supply chains. So, we've grown. It's been a fantastic journey. We today skill over 50,000 students across 150 schools that we've set up.
Okay, that's wonderful. Yeah. So thanks, Divya, for that brief introduction. I'm going to move across to Sumesh. So Sumesh, you also aim to solve career problems, while Divya is working at the bottom of the pyramid. I think you're bringing a completely different perspective to the table. And I know that before you started Board Infinity, which is a very, very interesting name for a skilling and a career venture, because when you think about boards and you think about all you think about is these old people sitting in board of directors rooms and pontificating about sort of big things in life. And neither are you old, nor your venture actually aims to address sort of strategic issues. I think you're talking about careers, and you yourself have gone through, I think, a very specialized startup training program, and I think you've learned a few things in your life journey. So very briefly, tell us, what is Board Infinity doing, and what end of the career and the jobs supply chain do you come from? What's your perspective?
Yeah, so Shantu, Board Infinity as a venture is focused a lot more on the white collar jobs. And when I say white collar jobs, it's focused on technology management and similar fields. And the venture is mainly focusing on giving an end-to-end solution to the customer. So if you look at skilling as a spectrum out there, there are people trying to solve it on a piecemeal basis. Probably some people are skilling, some people are doing assessments. Then there are recruiters who are trying to push them to companies, and we saw that a lot of these people are not talking to each other. The second philosophy that we have had is that if employability needs to be solved, the industry needs to come in. And so that's where you would see that Board Infinity is in the form of a platform where the people who are trying to make these white collar people for white collar jobs, these people are basically focused in jobs where they're coming from. So what I'm trying to say is that let's say somebody wants to get into the tech industry. There is a person who is working in the tech industry trying to upskill the person. So there are no academicians, there are no PhDs, there are no college instructors trying to teach people. It's a completely high skilled gig kind of model where let's say you are from a particular company, from a particular job role, you're coming and teaching courses in Board University. So that's the crux of the platform. And we don't just stop at teaching, we skill people, we career coach them, and then we connect them to companies which could induct them into their payrolls as well. So that's the whole concept about. We've been in the market for I think close to 3 years. Today I think we have customers across 50 cities in India, and it's a completely live online class model. So we don't have any physical infrastructure. We've been online, we've been on Zooms right from the beginning, and that's how the entire structure works.
So, Sumesh, that's really interesting. And so, certainly, you and Divya are both coming from very different perspectives. But I think what is common is that all of a sudden, we've been hit by this crisis, and this crisis means different things to different people. Today, we are talking about the worst recession in the past 100 years, but also people are saying that this is going to be a very bright situation for the education and training industry. Now, the fact that both of you are focused on the jobs side of the education and training industry, as opposed to other kinds of e-learning or higher education certifications and so on. What is your perspective on how your plans and your life has changed after COVID? So I'll go with you first, Divya.
So it was very interesting, Shantanu. I think I had a breakdown on the 20th, because that's when they said, let's close down all our centers. So I'm talking about 150 centers across the country. They're in Gorakhpur, they are in Dibrugarh, they're in deep parts of Assam, Maharashtra. In fact, Pune was the first hit, and our center was right in the epicenter of the first hotspot that was created. And we
Okay.
were evacuating 500 students and taking them back home. So the whole journey actually has been very interesting, because when we started off, the idea was, how do you suddenly take this brick and mortar structure? What am I going to do with all these students? They are from small villages, rural India. Will they ever come back? How do you continue this post COVID? And it was very interesting because we moved them online very quickly. We took them. We created a platform called Safe Job. We took them online, so we were doing live classes with them within 3 days of closing down. And today we have over 3,000 of these students connected with us through technology, and these are in little villages in rural India. So I think for me the most fascinating aspect was how quickly people have adapted to technology. Essentially earlier people there was a resistance of phone, we can't connect, phone se baat nahi hoti hai, no, we don't know how to download this app. But I'm seeing at the bottom of the
Yes.
pyramid, you suddenly have technology and people have become extremely comfortable with it. And you have students sitting there with their children, with their sisters, their parents, and everyone sitting and learning. So I think for education, this is going to be life changing, because I think at some point that mindset that we've had against technology, or phone pe kaise baat ho sakti hai, it's gone away. So I think that is going to be huge at the students' end. Even at the employer end, people are understanding, the only way to communicate is online. So let's make this effective. So I think in terms of technology education, it's a huge step forward. And the China experience tells us that this is something that's going to stay. One, from the jobs perspective, yes, it is alarming what is going to happen. Um, but I think with maybe a lot of the migration labor leaving, there is definitely a lot of opportunity at the bottom of the pyramid. But I think time will tell how that plays out.
So, Divya, just as a follow-on, we've always thought of e-learning, technology, laptops, mobiles as a very elitist thing, as a very India thing, not as a Bharat kind of thing. And what you're telling us is completely the opposite. That these are the people at the bottom of the pyramid who've taken to this like fish to water. So what does it reveal about the psyche of our job seekers, the psyche of our learners? Has it been the desperation that, look, our future is going to be doomed unless we do something really quickly, we adapt, we become flexible, we learn these technologies? And honestly, tools like Zoom, etc., they're in English. So how does somebody who's illiterate, who's training to become a truck helper, even get to use? But you're telling us they've actually learned all of this. So to me, that's a shockingly very pleasant revelation as to, when people are driven to the brink, maybe some brain cells open up and they start doing something which you never thought they were going to do again. So tell us some of these sort of, moments of, eureka moments that you had in your journey post this whole lockdown happened.
Honestly, Shantanu, I think I'm going to write a book about the lockdown because I think every day has been a learning for me. One of the things we've realized is that localization is extremely important. No one wants to go online, and I think that's what we've been trying to do. I mean, with maybe learning, is we try and push down recorded content, and I think that is extremely scary. It's very scary for someone to open a PPT or open an Excel, but when you have someone talking to them, so I think localization, regionalization is very important. So what we've done, we've kept everything very regional. If you're talking to someone in Gorakhpur, it has to be a teacher from Gorakhpur who's talking in their dialect,
Mm,
which is bringing it
mm,
to something that they can consume. You cannot have someone in Bombay who doesn't understand what they're going through. So if you can get it local,
absolutely.
uh,
I
and
think, yeah, that's sure, Divya. I think that's a huge takeaway, that even though you have technology as a democratic, unifying platform, and this whole notion of e-learning is anywhere to anywhere, what you're really telling us is actually not anywhere to anywhere. It has to be Gorakhpur to Gorakhpur, because you have to communicate in the local dialect. I think that's a great learning. That's a great takeaway. Sumesh, you're talking about white collar jobs, and Divya is talking about Gorakhpur and Balia and the local people out there who cannot even forget English. They can't even speak a certain dialect of Hindi. And here we are talking to you about a completely different sort of a situation. Now, in some sense, I feel that your solution is sort of more the anglicized, the corporatized side of the problem. Not saying the problem doesn't exist. The problem exists everywhere in the country. But how has this, this sort of COVID event, this tsunami, impacted your business model, and what are your takeaways from this?
So I think I'll try to answer it in two parts. One is with respect to what is going with the existing operations in terms of the customers onboarded earlier, and in terms of what has happened with new customer acquisition. In terms of the existing customers, I think more or less everything was happening on a live online basis, and operations has been very smooth that way. And there are network connectivity issues across India. I mean, even though we proclaim 4G and then 5G coming through, but there are real network issues across even urban parts in India, and we've seen that quite a lot. So that is sometimes a challenge, but one of the things that we do is that all the live classes get recorded, and they can access it their own sweet time as well. And because of that, we have not seen a lot of disruption on the existing customers that have come through. Now, if we look at the new customer acquisition that we are looking at, so we never had centers. We had an assisted sales model, and these people were basically sitting out of our office and talking to the customers and and onboarding them. So those things are still continuing, and we've been able to maintain that balance of making sure people are productive from their homes as well. So I think first 1 week, and this was last month. First 1 week, we figured out where all do we have infrastructure issues for the team members to sit and work. That was the first thing that we sorted. We even pushed systems from our office to many of their homes in Bombay. So we are based out of Mumbai, and we make sure that the infrastructure was set up for them so that they could start. And we put up some cloud solutions so that it's easy to train them when they are talking to customer, and probably they need to improve there. So new customer acquisition has not been much of a problem for us, and my view is that one, acquisition channels have the customer acquisition costs have come down because people are online, and they want to be online. So it's either Instagram of the world or they are on the Netflix. So it's either of these. And when I'm looking at yeah yeah
I'm
so
sure
when
Divya's customers are not on Netflix or Instagram.
They're
That's
on
a different
Share.
word.
They're on ShareChat and
yeah
TikTok. I'm discovering.
They're on ShareChat and TikTok. Very interesting. Yes, please continue, Sumesh. Yeah.
our customers, either they want to be productive or they want to watch Netflix of the world.
So, Sumesh, there is this really interesting narrative nowadays, which is saying that, look, maybe our whole notion that, you grow up and you go through college and then you start working for someone else who pays you a monthly salary. I think that notion itself is getting destroyed at some level. And this whole narrative about the gig economy, about working for yourself, being self-employed, because if there are no jobs, where are you going to find them? If the job market is going to be completely disrupted, you have to sort of stand up on your own. So do you think being entrepreneurial, uh, learning to fend for yourself, trying to market your skills to a local or a global audience, how do you see this trend emerging, considering that you yourself are an entrepreneur who hasn't gone and taken up a job, you're on your own? What advice do you have for people who are going to have a lot of difficulty in actually finding jobs? Millions of people are going to be laid off. So even to talk about jobs right now, should we think about jobs in a different way than simply getting employed and getting a monthly paycheck?
Yeah, so I think there are two parts to it. I mean, do you have the skills enough to become part of a gig economy or not? And if you look at the Indian job scenario, I mean, if you're looking at most of the companies, we say that there is a lot of people who are unemployed, but the problem is that people might not have the skills to get employed for the right jobs also, and companies are not willing to pay the right amount for the right person as well. So we have that twin problems that some of the corporates do not want to pay X amount, and we have the other side where the students who are coming out of colleges don't want to really get skilled in the right things. They think that degree is the qualifier, but degree is today not a qualifier, right? Um, I think at least in the tier one India, as in when I say tier one India, probably the top 10 cities, we will see a lot of gig activity that is going to shape up. In fact, there are platforms really focused just around that, where people who are getting skilled, they do want to freelance. In fact, I think almost all the startups that I know, they work with freelancers, even we do. Uh, Even corporates, big corporates have started outsourcing a lot of specific job functions to freelancers. So we see that trend. I think it's a lot more around how people can be flexible in their careers, etc. The downside is that do you really build a career in that process. I think the people who are able to market themselves better might do a better job there, or you should have platforms which market them, like probably Upwork or those kind of
Mm, mm,
but increasingly I see that Shantanu, a lot that is happening, and I think it's a trend that schools stay here. um, if my students or learners have to get there, I think probably they'll have to work for 2 to 3 years. They will have to build the skill sets to even start going freelance.
Sure, the whole notion of career, as you said, is also going to change. Our definitions of some of these things, what is career, what is job, I think are going to fundamentally transform yourself. So, guys,
Yeah.
this has been a very interesting conversation for me personally, and hearing from both of you about how you're responding to this crisis, how it has changed you as human beings, how it has changed and transformed your company, how we have learned how to do the jugaad and the innovation as we have sort of seen that crisis unfolding right in front of us. I think this is just amazing to hear some of these stories of hope, and I'm sure it will serve as an inspiration to a lot of people out there. So good luck, be strong, uh, keep innovating, and keep sort of going on. And I'm sure what is going to emerge out of this crisis is going to be, you're going to be not just stronger, but definitely more humane. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shantanu. Thank you, Divya.
Thanks.